Businesses looking to hire top talent and job seekers looking to start or further their career can get employment services here in Volusia County, and many times for free. So with me today to talk more about this topic is Robin King, President and CEO of CareerSource Flagler Volusia. That's all next on Volusia Magazine. Welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Joanne Magley, the Community Information Director for Volusia County Government, and joining me today is Robin King. She is the President and CEO of CareerSource Flagler Volusia. Hi, Robin. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Joanne.
So we talk to you usually once a year, and today when we're talking to you, the economy is doing pretty well here in Volusia County. Unemployment is below 4%, which is very well. So that said, there are people still needing job assistance and job training. Before we go into the needs that are out there right now, give an overview of what CareerSource Flagler and Flagler Volusia does for the community.
Thank you for the question, Joanne. So CareerSource Flagler Volusia is one of 24 regional boards in the state of Florida that receives federal funds through the state to really help the workforce gain the skills they need to be competitive and for businesses to find talent. So think of us as kind of like online eHarmony between the business looking for somebody and the employee looking for either a new employer, because we don't serve just people who are unemployed, we serve anyone who's looking for employment.
I know back when we were going through the recession, you had a lot of clients who were searching for jobs because they had been let go from their employer, and they actually had lots of experience. And that was the issue at that point, is finding a spot where their skills could match an employer that was hiring at that level.
It's difficult for someone that has been laid off. They want to move at least laterally, and that doesn't happen. And even in today's economy, we always have someone laying off somewhere. And so how do we help them get back in there and get back on that career path as quickly as possible is one of our goals.
So talk about some of the programs that you have in place for those people who are searching for a job or a different position.
So we don't really do training as much as we pay for training. So there are three main categories where we do that. One is through tuition, where we pay the tuition, lab fees, books for someone to go back to school. And we have agreements with over 20 training vendors in the two-county area or right outside the area. And getting someone back into learning maybe more of something that they've done, or changing a career path if that career has ended because of its disruption, continually changes occupations as we know them. And then helping them get the skills that they would need to get into a new job. We do on-the-job training. So when a business hires someone, there is an extremely high upfront cost to new hires for any industry. It helps offset the company's upfront cost, but it's also about that person who's gotten that job, that they're going to be trained. I mean, we're very specific in the career planning on what skills they're going to learn while they do that. And so we pay up to half the wage for a certain amount of time for a new business when they've done that new hire. The third one, and this is the one that we're really concentrating more on this year. If you already have a workforce, you need to make sure that your workforce is maintaining or upskilling at any given time their skills. So it's called customized training, where the business chooses their training vendor of choice, and it might even be in-house. And then we reimburse the company for that training cost so that the person continues to be a good asset for the company. It also helps the company retain, because loyalty is really garnered when you are investing in your employees, right? And it's something that we really noticed during the height of the recession, that a lot of those individuals who were laid off, no one had been investing in their skills. So they were just kind of a status quo, and now they've come out and maybe they didn't know the latest technology or the latest regulations or whatever it is that they needed. So that's why they needed to go back to school or they needed to upgrade their skills.
So you're talking about hiring and training with employees and employers. What are some of the other things that employers will reach out to you and your division for, as far as other services that they need help with for their employees?
So the full range is around recruitment, hiring, and retention. So for the recruiting piece, that we can do job postings, we can help businesses find where to write good job descriptions. Actually, we're working on a workshop that's going to do just that, kind of help them so that they know where to, because there's a lot of information online that's really good information on writing exciting, good job descriptions. Labor market information to know, are you paying a competitive wage? That's information that we can give to companies as well. Not what other companies, but what the industry is paying and what that occupation earns in our region. And then around the hiring, like I said, we do a screening. We help with assessments if a company wants that. We don't do drug testing or backgrounds. That's something that they would have to get from somewhere else. And then again, around the retention and keeping those employees there. Excuse me. The other thing that we do when it's needed is helping with a layoff. So if a company does see themselves faced with having to let someone go, whether it's just one or if it's a group, that we can come in and help them with that transition, that person, letting them know what services they might be eligible for later on, where they go, since the state of Florida doesn't have unemployment offices, where they can go to get the information that they need.
So for an individual who is either recently laid off or maybe they're coming back into the workforce after having not been in it for a while, what are the steps that they go through once they hear about CareerSource and then once they make contact?
Walk through our door. It's the first step. And actually they could do that either electronically on our website or through our physical door. So a program we've had in place for 2 or 3 years now, we call FIT. It's the first impression team. So when someone comes to our door and they really don't know who we are and what we do, that they will have a one-on-one sit down with somebody who kind of goes over what their goals are and gets them to the first step faster. And so it's very prescriptive. We're not very cookie cutter where it's if you're a dislocated worker, this is what you do, and if you're someone who's economically disadvantaged, you do this. It's what does Joanne need to get to her next step, because your next step is very individualized as well. So that's what this person and each one of our centers will help them. If they just say, I just want a job, I just want to look for a job, then we can get them to the resources where they register for that. If they say, I don't know what I want to do, then we have assessments that help them determine what they might be good at based on their interest and aptitude. If they say, I want to go to school, then there's that path. So it's getting them on that path faster.
I know sometimes employers are looking to hire, but they have issues with the skilled labor, and maybe there's not a certain type of skilled labor pool for them to get for what they want to hire for. So how do you work that?
That is the thing right now. So last Friday on the 22nd, we held focus groups, we call them business interchange, with 6 industries, really asking the questions around talent attraction, development, and retention. And again, that's not just one answer for all of them. It depends as to what it is that they're looking for, that skill set. There was a lot really good connections made with some of our businesses with what our Volusia County Schools is doing in their academies and career and technical education, that they weren't aware of some industry certifications that our high school kids are coming out of school with. It was like aha moments all over the place. Sometimes it's removing the blinders and thinking outside the box of who it is you think you want to hire. It's the same as with when we're working with a potential employee, to get them to look at other occupations, not just the one they think, to get businesses to kind of reduce some of those barriers. A good example is there was a study I've read about a few months ago now. How many businesses say they want somebody with a bachelor's degree, but how many of them actually hire for that? I mean, it's like 73% difference. So why are you putting those obstacles up? And I read an article yesterday that said something as simple as make sure your HR manager loves their job, you know, because that's that first impression. So what are you doing as a company to attract and that people really want to work for you?
So I heard something recently that in the next, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, there's going to be a large reduction in transportation types of jobs, like with shipping, and because of technology and I guess maybe the possibility of the automation with transport. So how do you look ahead with these types of forecasts to see what agencies like you need to be doing when there is some sort of shift in the workforce?
So again, the interchange that we had last Friday, we're going to do every 6 months. And that's one of the questions that we're going to continually ask as businesses and industries learn what's going to be automated in their industry. What can we do with that? Because there's two statistics that kind of float out there. One is 62% of the jobs or 63% of the jobs by 2030, 2035 will be automated, or at least be affected by automation. Then there was one that Grace Swope said at the Team Volusia annual meeting that 85% of the jobs in 2035 do not exist today. So how do you plan for that?
Yeah,
how do you invest in that? So the number one thing that we've taken away so far is that how do we teach lifelong learning? No one will ever have the luxury of learning one thing, and that's all they will ever have to do. Technology will continually disrupt whatever, and that's every occupation in some fashion. And when I started working for my company, there was one computer in the building. Email was non-existent. And when I think now when I do research for a grant proposal, how different that is. So we've had disruptions. We just didn't call them that. We thought they were advances. And they're just happening at a much faster rate than they were before. And so how do we teach not just our kids, but the adults on how to embrace lifelong learning and be curious enough to be relevant?
All right, we have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back to talk more with Robin King from CareerSource Flagler Volusia. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Josh Wagner.
And I'm Billy Wheeler. During the planning stages of the Tomstead Veteran Memorial Bridge, people voiced their desire to have a Veterans Memorial Plaza on the northwest side of the bridge.
The Veterans Memorial Plaza will create a special place in our community for people to reflect and connect with our fallen heroes.
The proposed concept for the new Veterans Memorial Plaza is estimated to be a $1.2 million endeavor.
Your donation will help us create a special place in our community in which we can honor Volusia County veterans from all military branches and military conflicts. To help fund our Veterans Memorial Plaza, visit veteransmemorialbridge.com or call Volusia County Accounting at 386-736-5933.
We appreciate your support to create this lasting memorial for those who have served and continue to serve our country.
Volusia.org is your online county government resource. View the County Council agenda and meeting calendar, as well as review past meeting minutes and archived video and audio. Save time and bypass the lines by going online to register your car or boat, pay a bill, and much more. Plus, you can use the site to discover activities, workshops, and ways to become involved with your community. Volusia.org is your portal to everything Volusia County.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. but I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Stay connected with the latest Volusia County news, events, and updates on our social media channels. Like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Catch up with previous stories on YouTube, or just head over to our website, volusia.org.
Welcome back. We are talking today with Robin King. She is the president and CEO of CareerSource Flagler, Volusia. And Robin, we were talking before the break about various programs that your agency provides. And I know that when Team Volusia, which is the public-private partnership, and our county's economic development team, they do recruitment of new companies, and they also help companies expand.
Certainly.
And there's lots of times when they're talking to a prospect, and they might have a specific skill set, and they want to make sure that when they bring their company here, that they will have that asset. So I know you have programs in place that you can assist that when there's something specific that a company might need in order to come here or expand.
So one of the things that we will provide is a labor shed report, depending on where they're going to be out in the county and the radius that they could maybe pull from. Really taking a look at who's already employed in that area, because businesses like hiring people that are already employed. You know, it's the second thing is we work in very close collaboration with Daytona State College. So the Center for Business and Industry can create curriculum for a company based on their individual need that they may need, and then what we do is help offset the cost of that. If it's a big expansion or a large company coming in, CareerSource Florida actually has programs of quick response training that they can tap into as well. So again, it's prescriptive to what that company needs. It can be very customized, or it might be an off-the-shelf training that one of our local training vendors provides, and then we help offset the cost. And then we do a lot of hiring events, so we can do a hiring event at our place, we can do one at their current location or where their new location may be, and again, what meets that business's need.
And I know from time to time you're involved in lots of different types of programs throughout the year. What do you have new coming up to assist in either employers or employees?
So we have embarked on a program with Walgreens that I'm really excited about. It meets a couple of different needs. So we currently have an unemployment rate, like you said, it's less than 4%. Not everyone's enjoying that particular unemployment rate. So individuals with disabilities who are seeking employment, the last that the Florida Chamber Foundation recorded, which is still a couple of years old, it's around 16%. And that's just of those who are looking. I mean, I think there's a lot more who would look for work if there was more opportunities. So Walgreens has replicated a program out of Connecticut that they called Ready. And it really is a 3-week on-the-site training program. So we are the trainer. This is one where we actually have the job coach that goes in and works with them for 3 weeks. There's very specific curriculum. One is around cash registering, one is customer service, you know, and at the end of that, Walgreens then has first dibs to hire them. And if not that Walgreens, another Walgreens. And if not those Walgreens, maybe another retail store. So the program that we've created, we call STARS, and it's helping someone get into a career path that they might not have thought was accessible to them. So one is, it's helping businesses who need talent pipelines at any given time. It's helping someone who may not have had that experience getting into something. And it's just raising the prosperity of both. And that's really our overarching goal, is how do we increase prosperity for all workers and all businesses? And that's something that we're kicking off.
So when does that start, or have you already started?
We've had a couple people that we've put in the last couple of months, and so we just really met with some businesses last Friday around this, and we are hiring someone who starts on the 4th that's going to get out there into the business community and educate more on what's available.
That's a great program. So it's important to mention, though, you also have a role you know, right now skies are blue, but when disaster strikes and we have maybe a hurricane or other sort of natural disaster, CareerSource plays a role in helping businesses basically kind of get back on their feet after a disaster. Talk about what parts you play there.
So the biggest role that we've had the last couple of years is getting the word out on disaster unemployment. And it's critical, especially as the gig economy grows and there are more and more of our workforce that are 1099ers who might not have ever paid into unemployment. Disaster unemployment is meant for them. It's meant for the small business owner that had to close for a while or whatever that is. So, and it's a very time-limited availability. So from the time that the disaster is declared, and it's usually, I think, 30 to 60 days afterwards, and then it's done. You know, then you can't get it. So it's getting the word out. You know, when FEMA sets up an emergency center, that we'll get the word out through that. We work very closely with the SBDC, who has been doing the bridge loan applications. I've been participating on that committee, so I hear there as well about some businesses, and I can help get the word out. Work very closely with the chambers on getting out that kind of information, because they're the ones that can get to a lot of our businesses in large groups.
You know, you mentioned earlier about kids that are graduating high school with certificates or associate degrees and things like that. How does that change in the workforce affect what CareerSource does? Because it seems like you have more people getting these skill sets, maybe at different ages or different stages in their lives, and it affects those that are at a different stage in their life.
I think it's one of the best kept or worst kept secrets that this community has is how many industry certifications our kids are earning. So last year we did our first, and we're going to repeat it, a senior hiring event. So we had 2 of them last year that we did, one at University High and the other one was at Atlantic. So we invited businesses to come in to interview that they knew were high school graduates. And it wasn't just, you know, low-level businesses that came in. We had manufacturing in there, we had construction in there, who said, one, learned about some of the certifications that the youth were graduating with, but also, and we had like Daytona State there with some of their workforce development programs. So they said, okay, take that course for the next 6 months and then come back and see me. You know, so it was it's the first step in building those credentials. The school system refers to it these days as stackable credentials. So those credentials are coming out of the school with they're adult level certifications. These are not watered down just because they're high school kids. So it's exposing our businesses to knowing that is, getting our youth to see what businesses there are here. So it was really successful last year. I have to tell you that the first one we had was on a Monday. It was senior skip day, and there was a torrential downpour. So the kids who showed up there, the businesses knew were awesome. You know, that they're dedicated. They were dedicated. They come through. We actually had a teacher in Pearson bring kids in from Pearson to go to that. I mean, it's just those connections. How do we get our businesses to see what our youth are coming out of school with, and our youth to see what opportunities are here so they stay here?
Yeah, and I think it's such a great program, because these kids that are doing the dual enrollment and getting these certifications, whether or not they go on to further education, some of them are choosing to still go to college, but yet they have this certification. I know a young gentleman who had gotten his certification in HVAC, and so, but he planned on doing that, working in the summers, going to school, and then he would either continue with school, and sometimes continuing with a 4-year degree isn't for everybody, or sometimes it's you continue with a 4-year degree, and then you also have this, what's the new word, the side hustle?
Oh yes, the gig, the side hustles.
Side gigs. So it just opens up the door for people, young people, to really put themselves in a good position to have those multi-layer skill sets.
And that goes back to the lifelong learning, that your first job is not your last job. And how do we get that across to our young ones that that's just where you're learning your beginning? And even, you know, there's a certain population that's very concerned about artificial intelligence. It doesn't mean that you have to go to this job. It means that this person goes to this job and this person goes, you know, and it's a tiered effect. And that's where our role is in those first basic entry level, that we get them the right skills so that they can get their foot in the door and they are not afraid to continue to learn. Because the most successful businesses that we have internal career paths. Walgreens is a good example that when you're hired at Walgreens, you're not just hired and become a cash register or cashier. That they put you in the pharmacy for a certain amount of time. They put you in the Photoshop for a certain, I mean, they immediately start engaging you in the other departments and showing you where you can grow when you want to grow. And our good businesses are doing just that.
So you have office locations. Talk about how people can learn more about CareerSource and your different office locations.
So we do have 3 centers in Orange City, Palm Coast, and Daytona Beach. Those addresses, as well as access points we have throughout the 2 counties, are on our website, which is www.careersourcefv, as in Frank Victor.com. The main phone number they could also get a lot of information is 386-323-7001.
All right, well, Robin King, President and CEO of CareerSource Flagler Volusia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Joanne.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Volusia Magazine. We hope to see you here at the same time next week. Have a great day.